Hello Ratbags, it's Jade Plays Games. Welcome back to a Fallout 76 video. It's been a while since I've done one of these, mainly because there hasn't been that big much of a news explosion. There's not been as much that's come since E3. But I didn't want to make a video every time one of the developers took a sneeze or had something to eat. It's just not me. However, today is a little bit more different. There is some interesting information that I thought I'd share. It's the start of Fallout 76, what it really entails for people, how are you going to be able to work it and play with other players online, what it really means to start and make sure you're not griefed straight away. The newest information comes from an interview with Multiplayer, an Italian interview, but it's been translated over by the people at Reddit. They asked Todd Howard if Fallout 76 would contain any type of single player component or possible PvE areas on the map or even PvE dedicated servers. According to Todd, not at launch. When you come into play you can see the other players but you will not be forced to interact with them. You can play on your own, you can see them but you do not have to fight them. Maybe you can use them to exchange items, to join a team, or you can visit their camp. There are a lot of things you can do with other players that is not a comparison with weapons. However, one of our long-term plans is to have servers where you can live your lonely world, you alone, or at the limit where you can invite only your friends, or you can apply mods and change the rules at your discretion. All of this is in our projects, but these will not be at the launch of the game. So that second part we kind of knew already, that dedicated servers would not be coming until well after launch. But the first part of that is pretty interesting to note, that it is going to be a case of seeing other players but not necessarily being able to do anything with them too much in the very first stages. And that gets outlined even more with the next question. What happens when players camp outside the vault itself? Are they going to be able to grief players? Todd says there are several tricks we're implementing to prevent the other players from doing exactly the thing you describe. For example, at the moment you cannot kill a player until he reaches level 5. Maybe we'll change this rule, but we're aware of the risks because that stuff does not appeal to us either. But it does not scare us to try new things and leave the players the total freedom to fight at their discretion or to not do so if they are not interested. Now that is the brand new bit of news that I've not seen, that the level 5 is going to take a factor into it. So you're not going to necessarily be able to just stay outside spawn camping people. You'll just simply not be able to do any damage. You might be a level 28 and if you're standing outside it looks like anyone that's under level 5 is going to be immune. And again, the second part of that answer does reaffirm that they are looking at the PvP aspect as a challenge mode. It's going to be more a case like GTA 5 where you can switch whether or not you are PvP enabled or PvE enabled. There are going to be bounties for your character or yourself if you do commit crimes, and it will mean that you are more higher profile for players to go and take on. But again, you can opt out of that. Next question was, what would happen if a player's base camp was bombed or they potentially disconnected from the game? In which Todd responded, the base will simply disappear if you're offline. As for the potential damage to your base, Todd had this to say. Yes, other players can damage it, but only partially. It costs very little to repair. The reason we make it damaged is that it's possible to confine another player in the camp. If it cannot break it, it becomes a problem. That's why we decided not to make the camps destructible. That's why we decided to make the camps destructible, not because we want to stimulate others to attack your shelter, but to prevent players from using the camp to annoy other players. It's still very easy to repair, and when you get disconnected it disappears. So very much a case of the other side of trolling. It's not about just destroying someone's bases, it's about making that people can't be put into a box they can't get out of. Clearly there could be issues with idle players standing around and maybe another enemy player building something around them or enticing them into their camp and then turning on them and making it that they couldn't escape their base. So it makes sense that you can destroy structures. And lastly, this has been answered a little bit, but it gives a little bit more detail about what happens when you build bases in the exact same location as other players. Theoretically it is possible, but consider that the world is really huge. Now I'll explain something. Imagine that as soon as you leave the vault you want to build your camp in the immediate vicinity. Keep in mind that the construction assembly module is mobile, so you're continuing to play Fallout and you realise that at a certain distance there's a beautiful hill overlooking a valley with a splendid view, and when you want to build your camp there, and in a moment you can move it. For some reason someone builds above your position, you can move your shelter somewhere else, or you can start damaging that camp until you persuade the other player to move. It depends entirely on you, but it's really rare, very rare, for two people to build at exactly the same spot. He obviously did not play No Man's Sky. Oft celebrated and derided is the fact that No Man's Sky also said it'd be very rare for players to come across each other in a universe filled with billions of planets, and 2 players exactly managed to do that. So the idea that a Fallout 76 map is only about 4 times bigger than the Fallout 4 map, it doesn't seem that impossible that you will come across a location that is exactly where you want to build, the same place as someone else. But that interesting note that you can damage their camp and hopefully get them to move is a bit of an interesting one. What that opens up is you can't kill a player, but maybe you can damage their base continually. That is another form of trolling, and that is something that people may have to think about. Just because you turn your mode off so that you can't be killed, or you don't want to enable PvP, that might not necessarily mean your base is safe. Now it's important to note that people are getting a bit carried away with the settlements. These are really not going to be that big. You're not going to be building huge massive structures going across the whole sides of a country or cliff or land. They are going to be very small plot points. Yes, you can place them almost anywhere on the map, but their radius isn't going to be that large. There are some other bits of information there saying information about quests. You're going to be getting them from robots, holotapes, even other players, terminals, etc. And there is confirmation that there is going to be a day and night cycle, server synchronization to go along with that. There is also meant to be some sort of fast travel system in play as well, namely because obviously the map is so huge, you are going to be able to fast travel. Now, presuming it's going to work exactly the same way it does in Fallout 4, where you can simply go from point to point once you've discovered that area. But again, this article here from VG247 does ask the question, what's to protect you from people fast travelling away from you or right next to you and then getting shot just behind? I would put good money on the fact that there's going to be certain limitations with fast travel. Maybe you're going to have to make some sort of teleporter, or it's going to cost you some sort of money to fast travel across the map, or some sort of resource to stop people abusing it so much. Who knows? We don't know for definite. The map is huge. As you can see, I'm loading up right now. This is what we know so far about the Fallout 76 map from pieces put together. We still have absolutely no information about when the beta is going to be taking place. The thoughts of it still happening in July is what I'd really like to happen. I think it'd be a good time, and it'd be given good few months before the actual full game. But with no word, even if the beta is going to be a short-term thing, it may be a long time. It might not be something that only lasts for like 1 weekend or 1 week. Maybe the beta will last for a good 4 months up to release. That, to me, would really give the game its feedback it needs. I think this game absolutely needs players to get on it right away and start playing it now, before its release comes in November. It is going to be a live service. They will update it and they will change things after the game is fully launched. But I still think definitely right now the game needs more of an identity. It's trying to do its own thing. It hasn't communicated what it really is just yet, but it definitely needs to start giving us more information about what to expect and what we should be doing, and hopefully that will start when the beta finally gets announced. So there we go, that's all the brand new information about Fallout 76. The first few levels, you're not going to be able to be killed by anyone, you're not going to be able to grief someone continuously, and they've confirmed a bunch of information about what to expect with your bases and how things are going to work. I'm not going to lie, some of the changes that have been made, the fact that PvP is optional, has put me off a little bit. I'm one of the few YouTubers or people I know that is actually looking forward to having some real Rust-like PvP. The idea of having a GTA style PvP where you can switch it on and off just doesn't interest me as much. But I'll be talking about that in a separate video, giving you my opinion on why I think the game needs to be more PvP focused. I'll also be talking about the amount of hate bait that Fallout 76 has been generating. There is a real core group of YouTubers, Fallout 4 fans and news channels that simply have just been shitting on the game left, right and centre. And it's not necessarily just down to how they feel, they just seem to be jumping on the bandwagon for views. But that is coming in a future video. For relevant and important Fallout 76 information, make sure you've got notifications turned on. Go and check out all my other stuff and look forward to my Fallout 4 modded Let's Play. I'm about to start it. I asked you guys what I should start next. Now I've finished a couple bits and bobs on my channel, and 1.6 thousand votes have come in the last 2 days, and Fallout 4 is the overall majority. 42% of you want me to play Fallout 4. So I will be doing that. I will be adding just a couple of little mods to try and give it some sort of Fallout 76 vibe. I don't know what that is yet. If you've got any decent mod ideas that you've seen or you've played, let me know in the comment section down below. They do have to be mods that will work on the Xbox One, as that's where I'll be playing Fallout 4. But anything that may give it a bit of a vibe. Maybe it's got better building pieces, maybe it's got something where the areas, the map becomes more irradiated. Give me something that can tie into 76 to try before I start looking at it myself later on today. I am Jade Plays Games for all the best ARK information, Conan Exiles updates, as well as Fallout 76, general survival game news and Battle Royale information. Make sure you've got notifications turned on. I'll be back for another game news video very soon, and I'll see you ratbags later.